given that, Charles, you were on the sidelines, as I understand, calling in the plays, or signaling the plays.
Yeah. So it's great to be with you all. I really am excited about today because really this is almost a pre-launch to not only an amazing event this evening with 8 to 80 and 361 launching their foundation, but it is a segue into a platform which is a passion of mine, is trying to get more athletes involved in investing, learning about investment opportunities, and seeking out good advice. People that have done it for many years are very knowledgeable in that area. And so I wanted to bring someone on that is actually has followed my steps from day one. He went to Syracuse University. He was drafted in the 6th round, just like I was drafted in the 6th round. He was a great special teams player. I made my name coming in as a rookie on special teams. And so actually he took over the player development position when I left the Giants to run player development. So we both are very closely intertwined in the things that we've done and the career paths that we've taken. He's now he's a franchisee of Clean Juice. So without further ado, I want to introduce David. David, thanks for joining us.
All right.
Welcome, David.
Got your camera? There you go.
Welcome,
Yeah.
David.
Excellent. I'm not usually I can see myself, so I don't
We can see you. We can see you. You're good.
I can do this. You can see yourself better now.
There we go. I got some action.
All right.
Glad to see you. I appreciate the great introduction. It's great to be with them.
That's great. So David, quick question. So given all the things you've seen as a player development director in sports and getting guys engaged in transition after football, talk about your experiences with other players and the difficulties or the challenges that they face with getting good advice when thinking about another career outside of football.
Yeah, I think difficulties are there just in light of 20 to 22-year-old men coming into the National Football League, great financial inheritance with no real understanding about life in general, even beyond the way that the world works, business works. So there's a trust gap that that players, athletes, et cetera, begin to experience, and wide array of interest that it takes, what it takes to make decisions. It really takes time to bring them along to understand the unique opportunity that they have for whatever time they are going to participate in that NFL experience. So like I said, you and I both have the same kind of track record where we recognize the need for the education and opportunities, but to gain that kind of trust and bring people along can be challenging.
Definitely. So that brings us to what you're doing now. How did you want to become a franchisee? What made you, especially a small startup franchisor like Clean Juice, what made you want to be a part of that franchise?
Yeah, I've progressed as an individual, as a person, as I consider it was always about life, about kind of like a value alignment. I mean, like that's the most important thing for me to start with, because if I can't be aligned with the right people, whether it's in partnership, in life, in relationship, even my wife, for Christ's sake, right? We need to kind of share some values so that when things are difficult, we don't have to share. That was how I came to conclude that franchise, and the health and wellness space is something that works well for me as I progress. And it was time to just take a leap, in all honesty. Aside from me personally, then I also have, don't laugh too heavy, but 7 amazing children, right? And I really wanted my children to have an environment where they can learn business. Just flatline what it takes to actually do this on the front end, from some sweat equity to on the back end to just the logistics, supply chain, and so there was a lot of different factors, but we're excited.
And like you said, coming in not having that, business experience, as you well know, you come from the same background that I come from, where our parents didn't own a business and didn't have the business acumen that you need to run your own business. So what are the challenges, especially given you opened your franchise literally months before the pandemic. So what are the challenges that you had to face, given you're new to this? You didn't have a lot of business acumen prior to jumping into this space. Who were the people that you surrounded yourself with to help you, give you guidance, but also how are you dealing with the challenges of the pandemic?
Great question. Launched just as the pandemic was kind of, June was our opening, so the pandemic was kind of we had come to terms, whereas March everybody's flustered. We weren't eligible for a lot of assistance, some deferrals here. So I think the biggest challenge, number one, was honestly staffing. Training and staffing, right? Like, when you're dealing with a minimum wage type of, majority of your staff is primarily minimum wage, especially the high wage. Training, keeping the quality of a premium product. And so they got to have all those extra kids for some sweat labor, but it was actually, more staff at different times to present the quality that was probably the number one. And of course, in the retail space, at 7 days around the clock, you're responsible for every single thing. The other challenges weren't as great, like I kind of find ways to simplify what can appear to be so complex. I really just look at business as an extension of life. The same things that I have to do daily to run my home well is the same things that I have to do as a fiduciary standpoint to, I look at, values are my character, my reputation is my PR. All those, I kind of just find simple ways to merge and translate things where hopefully it's not too overwhelming, but you still have to learn a lot of these.
That's great. Now, I could talk to you all day, but obviously, really understanding this evening, 8 to 80, we're kicking off 361 Foundation. We still hope that anyone on the call who hasn't contributed or donated to the cause, I wish you would join in. Just understand that athletes in general, whether it's their greatness on the field or greatness off the field, they have a story to tell, and it's an amazing story, and it's this inspirational story that we all can get behind, because I think it's important that we all learn from one another's experiences. And this evening you'll be learning from two of the greatest of all time to ever play this game. David, so as we wrap up, we got to talk about what you're known for, right? We can't let you go without you kind of talking about not only the catch, but the events leading up to the catch, and how improbable most of us that were witnessed to practice that week, how improbable the events leading up to the catch actually were. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so it would here. So what's been well detailed and spoken of is, that year practice much. He got back first all year. He got hurt early in the week, which means preparing. Friday practice, I basically had the worst practice maybe in practice history of all sports. And what was supposed to be a dress rehearsal ultimately ended up being me dropping everything in a Friday practice. And I'm sure it put mostly the coach, Coach Coughlin on edge. But it just was a bad day at work. I can't, it's a bad day at work. beat 'em up ball chants going on everywhere. And, of course, the players had fun with it. And at the end of the practice, Eli, it's been documented how, he just approached me, hey, man, I know you'd be ready. And it was the stuff that makes great stories. Ultimately, I didn't have any low self-confidence. It was just a bad day at work. And, he brushed it off, moved forward, and I expected to do great things. I can't say I expected to catch a ball on the side of my head when I woke up on Sunday morning, but I was certainly looking to find a way to make an impact. And that was certainly the day that God had appointed for me to do something monumental. So, there's a lot more that goes along with it. But, like I said, I was happy to be Big Blue all day.
I muted you, Charles, so Tyree could be heard better. You want to unmute yourself? Sorry. Sorry about that.
So David, really appreciate you joining us again. 8 to 80 zone kickoff of 361 firm, the foundation. If you haven't donated yet, please do. We are still offering raffle tickets for the event. Great articles that you can win. So please join us this evening. This is just the beginning. David, I really appreciate you joining us, and I appreciate the time, Mark.
Thank you, David. And you saw I threw a slide up about franchising broadly. We're going to create a group around it so that people can network. We've already found that one of my friends was doing a deal with one of the families. He's the franchisor, she's the franchisee. But just comparing notes, about those issues you raised. So we want to do that, and that's just an example of how we can work with Charles and some of the athletes as we create. We want to. Someone told me today, we do some things not really well, right? And we can drop a lot of passes, but we have this authentic thing here going. So we want to share it with more people like yourselves.